So, Joshua, many people assume that once they're legally married, they can move to Israel together without any problems. Is that the actual case?
No, that's not true. Just being married is not considered by the Israeli immigration officials really proof. What they're actually looking for is seeing if the relationship is actually true and genuine.
I see. And do you have a specific example of this happening as well in your law firm?
Yeah, we have many examples. I mean, just the fact that you show up at the immigration office and say, here's a marriage certificate, we got married, is not enough, especially that these days a couple can get married in Cyprus. There's even online marriages in Utah. So just showing the marriage certificate is not enough. You need to bring all kinds of proof that you actually have a real ongoing relationship. And many times the most crucial part is the interview where the couple are separated and asked a series of the same questions, and then the answers are compared, and the immigration authority officials see if the answers are compatible or not. That's a way for them to determine if the relationship is really real.
I see. And can you tell about a case where this happens?
Yeah, so we've had many such cases in the law firm. Recently comes to mind a couple. This guy is a young Israeli just out of the army from Russian background. Like there's a million Russian immigrants in Israel, and he meets online girlfriend. They were in a relationship. She's from Bulgaria. They at the beginning they're in a long distance relationship. She comes to visit here as a tourist. He visits her in Bulgaria. They're very serious even though they're young. And they think, and they decide to get married. They think if we're married, everything will be very quickly and easy. So they get married in Bulgaria. He comes back to Israel and he invites her, but her entrance to Israel is denied at the airport once the immigration officials at the Ben Gurion airport discover that she's married to an Israeli. So she's sent back to Bulgaria, and now he needs to continue the process of inviting her to Israel, but it's so much more difficult because her entry has already been denied. She has this black stamp in her passport. They still go together and continue with the process, but now this interview they have to do separately. He is interviewed here at the immigration office in Israel. She's interviewed at the Israeli consulate in Sofia, Bulgaria. When their answers are compared, the immigration officials find what they see as very big differences. And he comes to us when he's already received a rejection of his first application to invite his wife to Israel.
And so what type of inconsistencies did they find?
So we as immigration lawyers can actually ask for the protocol of the interview and actually compare their answers. So out of, each one of them was asked between 80, 90 questions. When you compare the answers, you do see what could look like maybe out of, eight answers that are not exactly the same. But when you go deeper into these so-called contradictions, you can easily see that they're not really contradictions. Because if they're asked, like, where did you first meet for your first date? Or on what app did you meet? So one person says Instagram, the other says Facebook. Maybe they met on both of them, or they don't really remember. Or they ask, where did you go out for your first date? One says Tel Aviv. The other one says Jaffa. In Israel, actually, Tel Aviv and Jaffa are for many years already the same city. So it doesn't really mean there's a contradiction.
Yeah.
So we as lawyers look at this minutes, this protocol of the interview, and recommended to this client to keep on with the appeal procedure.
Sure. And what would be their logical next step? Because as you said, you saw these so-called inconsistencies and they had a very logical explanation. And what should a couple do with these questions? this process?
So at this point, their application was rejected. So the only thing, if they really want to stay together and for her to come to Israel, is to appeal. This case went to the appeals tribunal, which is sort of an immigration court. Once you see a judge and you have an objective, review, and we get the chance to explain as lawyers. Also, the client, the Israeli client, this young guy comes in. He also has the chance to testify. And in these kind of cases, many times if the inconsistencies are not very serious, then the judge can intervene. And we did actually receive a compromise. She was allowed to come into Israel. They did have to go through another interview. And if she would have passed that, and she did pass it successfully, then she would get a visa as a spouse of an Israeli.
So that story all ended good, and they're now living in Israel.
Yes, the end was good, but it was a difficult road. If people actually consult lawyers or experts in immigration to Israel in advance, you can maybe make things easier for yourself. But this story ended a happy end.